with the Sunset Marquee, which was pretty often. So...
How many times did you live there?
3 or 4.
That's a lot of times.
Yeah.
Billy Bob Thornton's had many reasons to want to hide away in his life. First of all, he's a shy man. He loves to tell stories, but doesn't love the spotlight. Second, he's strange. He's done things in the public eye that became headlines that follow him today. Third, he's had many relationships. Not all of them have ended well. One was an odd match, but didn't seem ill-fated. It felt like it could go all the way. Keep watching, though, as Billy Bob Thornton confirms why he divorced Angelina Jolie. Billy Bob's previous wives. Hollywood tends to be a world of quick, easy relationships. Billy even plays characters who have plenty of them, or at least make comments that suggest they want them. But he's always searched for something more. He seems to dream of a permanent, loving wife. He'd rather put a ring on it and try to achieve that dream than go around and find every woman he can. Billy says in his own words, quote, "I've been married 5 times, and people think that's some bizarre thing. Yet I've got buddies who refuse to get married and have sex with 15 people a week. I'm like, which is better? At least I was trying." Melissa Lee Gatlin. Melissa was Billy Bob's first wife. They were married in 1978 and had a daughter named Amanda on June 30th, 1979. There isn't much public information about the relationship, but there are details on how it tore his daughter apart. Amanda and Billy Bob became estranged as she grew up with her mother. She was sentenced to 20 years in prison in 2008 for the death of her friend's 1-year-old daughter and released in 2020. Tony Lawrence. Tony and Billy Bob were married from 1986 to 88. They didn't have children, and there isn't much info about them either. Tony still could see into his heart in what little time they were together. She later said, quote, "He's really talented, that's obvious now, but he's very troubled." Cinda Williams. Cinda was an actress and producer known for films like 1990's Mo Better Blues, 1992's One False Move, and 2021's Mad as Hell. She became a major name before she even met Billy Bob. Cinda said they were just friends and should never have been married. She later married Roderick Plummer in 2001, and they have a child and a happy family. Pietra Dawn Cherniak. Pietra is a Playboy model who married Billy Bob in 1993. They had 2 children, William, born in 1993, and Harry, born in 94. Pietra filed for divorce due to irreconcilable differences in April of 1997. She also asked for a restraining order against her ex-husband, claiming he had been regularly physically abusive to her in the last few months, even in front of the children. Billy Bob denied the charges. He said he never did anything he was being accused of, and they should focus on caring for the children. Falling in love with Angelina. Angelina Jolie and Billy Bob fell in love on the set of 1999's Pushing Tin. He was engaged to Laura Dern at the time. She was allegedly shocked to hear when he broke off the engagement to be with Angelina. She said, quote, "I left our home to work on a movie, and while I was away, my boyfriend got married, and I've never heard from him again." Billy later addressed the situation in a 2001 interview. He basically said he had to follow his heart, which he almost always does anyway. In his own words, quote, "Others may say that you left our girl and married someone else, but it made me happy and someone else happy. I'm sorry it caused pain." They were married from 2000 to 2003. That's surprisingly the same amount of time Angelina was married to Brad Pitt. She was Billy Bob Thornton's 5th wife. Angelina seemed to be taking their unique situation seriously in the beginning. She said,
"We kind of signed our life away to each other, and legally and with blood."
Despite that powerful language, the bond didn't last long. The couple broke up only months after adopting a child from Cambodia. Angelina then revealed she intended to adopt the child as a single parent. Addressing the controversies. Billy Bob has never been known for being normal. He can be a strange and unpredictable actor. The media has plenty of material when trying to make interesting stories out of his life. That's especially true with his relationships. He admits that he and Angelina had a lot of fun together. Some of the things they did together went beyond strange. They were a bit morbid, such as picking out hers and his grave plots. What about the necklaces they wore that allegedly contained vials of each other's blood? He said it was a simple way to remember each other when they were apart. But they weren't wearing buckets of blood around all the time like the media portrayed it.
I think a lot of it is, some of the stuff they say has some sort of basis in fact, but it's usually embellished or, taken the wrong way or whatever. But I think a lot of the stuff that we do is really not that big a deal, but it just sounds good, to talk about. So, this whole thing about vials of blood, they're not actually vials, they're little clear, what the hell do you call them? The lockets, like you put a picture in.
Uh-huh.
And,
Yeah.
we poke our finger and put a drop of blood in it. It's just a symbolic thing.
How they see each other today. Not all of Billy Bob's divorces were a mutual, kind split. That's probably why he decided to hide in a recording studio for a while after most of them. That's not the case with Angelina. Billy Bob has only kind words about their brief time together. He says, quote, "I look at that time as a great time. Angie is still a friend of mine, and she's a great person, and she's done so much." He also respects how her career is going. He strongly believes in accepting only the roles you believe in, which is why he's moved away from films. Streaming TV has the resources to tell the kinds of stories he used to love in independent films. Angelina has taken a similar direction as she's moved from acting to directing and producing. He says, quote, "The movies she makes are still things that are important to her. Whether they succeed or fail, she still does what she believes in, and I'll always respect her for that." Why he divorced Angelina Jolie. Angelina seems to be one of Billy Bob's happiest relationships, if not his longest. They had fun together and seemed happy when they were in public. What tore them apart? One part of the equation was that Billy Bob never felt good enough for her. It's an understandable feeling when you're married to such a major star. The major reason, though, was something else. Billy Bob said they had, quote, different lifestyles. She was a global traveler. He was almost agoraphobic, preferring to stay at home. She wanted to go to big events and talk to everyone. He's a surprisingly shy man who'd hide in the corner. They both ended up needing to find someone they were more compatible with. Billy Bob's current wife. Billy Bob said he'd swear off marriage after Angelina, but that didn't last long. He met Connie Angland on the set of 2003's Bad Santa. They were married in a private ceremony at his LA home in 2014 after 11 years of dating. They have a daughter together named Bella. Even GQ magazine noticed that Connie is more Billy Bob's speed. She's a fellow homebody, so they don't have to force each other to go anywhere. Bella is currently being homeschooled. That gives him plenty of time to spend with her when he comes home from work. He seems very happy with his new family. Now it's time to hear from you. Who's your favorite celebrity couple who eventually parted ways? Let us know in the comments section below.
Have you got performances that you watch back or remember where you kind of think, oh, actually, I was a bit pants in that, or...
Oh, yeah.
Oh, what?
I'm not going to tell you.
Mary Louise Streep was born in New Jersey in 1949. The eldest of 3 children, Streep was raised in Bernardsville, New Jersey, in a middle-class family. Her father, Harry, worked in the pharmaceutical industry, and her mother, Mary, was an artist. Meryl inherited her creative inclinations from her mother, who encouraged artistic expression in the household. However, her adult life has not been without challenges. Let's have a look at what happened. Breaking into Hollywood.
You know, the
So is
Academy
Tom.
Awards are coming up, and you've been nominated 20 times for Academy Awards.
As a child, Meryl displayed little interest in acting, focusing on music. She took voice lessons and dreamed of becoming an opera singer. But as she entered adolescence, her focus began to shift. At Bernards High School, she excelled academically and participated in school plays, where she discovered her love for performance. After high school, she attended Vassar College, majoring in drama and English. Her time at Vassar marked a turning point in her life. Under the mentorship of influential professors, she began to understand the depth and power of acting as a form of storytelling. After graduating in 1971, she enrolled in the Yale School of Drama, where she received rigorous training. Despite financial struggles and self-doubt, she thrived at Yale, performing in over 40 productions during her time there. Streep's transition from theater to film began in the late 70s. Her professional career started on the New York stage, where she gained recognition for her performances in productions like Trelawney of the Wells and The Cherry Orchard. But it was her film debut in Julia in 1977 that introduced her to a wider audience. Though her role was small, it showcased her talent and marked the beginnings of a legendary career. In 1978, she appeared in The Deer Hunter, a haunting portrayal of the Vietnam War's impact on a group of friends. The film earned widespread acclaim and brought Streep her first Academy Award nomination. Her ability to convey complex emotions with subtlety and authenticity was already becoming her signature style. Her next major breakthrough came with Kramer vs. Kramer, in which she played Joanna Kramer, a woman caught in a custody battle with her estranged husband. The role earned her her first Oscar for Best Supporting Actress and solidified her reputation as one of Hollywood's most gifted performers. A star keeps rising.
Well, you know why.
No, I don't know why, honestly.
I just felt awkward coming on the show.
Oh, please. No,
so
no, come on.
soon after our affair ended.
The 1980s marked the period when Meryl became a household name. Her ability to immerse herself in her characters and master various accents made her a standout talent. One of her best performances came in Sophie's Choice in 1982, where she portrayed a Polish Holocaust survivor. The film required her to speak both English and German with a Polish accent, a challenge she met with remarkable ease. The performance earned her an Academy Award for Best Actress and is widely regarded as one of the greatest in film history. She continued to deliver memorable performances throughout the decade. In Silkwood, she played Karen Silkwood, a whistleblower at a nuclear facility, earning another Oscar nomination. Her roles in Out of Africa and A Cry in the Dark showcased her ability to handle diverse genres and characters. The 1990s saw Streep experimenting with lighter genres. In Postcards from the Edge, she displayed her comedic chops as a recovering addict navigating her relationship with an overbearing mother. She also explored romantic drama in The Bridges of Madison County, delivering a tender and deeply emotional performance alongside Clint Eastwood. Despite these ventures into different genres, Streep continued to excel in dramatic roles. Films like The River Wild and One True Thing demonstrated her ability to convey strength and vulnerability in equal measure. The 2000s ushered in a new phase as she embraced roles that appealed to a broader audience. In The Devil Wears Prada, she delivered a career-defining performance as Miranda Priestley, a powerful and demanding editor. The role became an instant classic and introduced her to a younger generation of fans. She also ventured into musicals with Mamma Mia, showcasing her singing talent in a joyous and lighthearted film. She received her 15th Academy Award nomination for Doubt in 2008 and won her third Oscar for portraying Margaret Thatcher in The Iron Lady. Personal life, balancing family and fame.
I knew the two people in my whole town that were divorced. My whole town. And people didn't get divorced as much as they do now. And it was, the stigma often was on the woman. And things were, it was a little trickier.
Streep has been a vocal advocate for gender equality and social justice. She's used her platform to speak out on issues such as pay disparity in Hollywood, women's rights, and environmental conservation. Her speeches, particularly at awards ceremonies, have often resonated beyond the entertainment industry, solidifying her status as a cultural leader. Her personal life has been marked by stability and resilience. In 1978, she married sculptor Don Gummer, shortly after the death of her first love, actor John Cazale. Their marriage, which lasted over 4 decades, was widely admired for its longevity and apparent harmony. Together, Streep and Gummer raised 4 children, Henry, Mamie, Grace, and Louisa, who have all pursued careers in the arts. Despite her demanding career, Streep prioritized her family, often structuring her work schedule around her children's needs. She frequently credited Gummer for being a supportive partner, describing him as the anchor that kept her grounded. In 2023, they announced their separation, which culminated in divorce after 45 years of marriage. The news shocked fans and industry insiders alike, as the couple had long been regarded as one of Hollywood's most enduring partnerships. While the reasons for the split were kept private, sources close to the family described it as an amicable decision. For Streep, the divorce marked a significant turning point in her life. While she maintained her professionalism, friends and colleagues noted that the separation deeply affected her. It prompted her to reassess her priorities, shifting her focus from career to personal well-being and family. She has since taken on fewer projects, expressing a desire to spend more time with her children and grandchildren. The divorce also influenced her career choices. In interviews, she's spoken candidly about how the experience allowed her to connect with characters on a deeper level. Legacy and impact.
But I was always called Meryl. My father's made that name up, and he liked that name, and so I hated it. I wanted to be named Patty or Kathy or...
Meryl Streep's contributions to cinema are unparalleled. With 21 Academy Award nominations and 3 wins, she holds the record for the most nominations of any actor in history. Her ability to portray a diverse range of characters with authenticity and depth has set a standard of excellence in the industry. Beyond her artistic achievements, her advocacy for social and environmental causes has made her a role model both on and off the screen. She's used her influence to champion issues such as gender equality, education, and climate change. Her life and career are a testament to the power of passion, perseverance, and authenticity. Her personal life, marked by love, loss, and resilience, has added depth to her journey. As she navigates the new chapter following her divorce, she remains a beacon of inspiration. Whether on screen or off, her story continues to resonate, reminding us that greatness is not defined by accolades, but by the ability to connect with others and leave a lasting impact. With a career that shows no signs of slowing down, Meryl Streep's legacy is one of timeless brilliance and unwavering grace. Her divorce has been met with minimal media coverage, a rarity for someone of her stature, but reflective of her lifelong preference for privacy. Known as one of the most celebrated actors of her generation, Streep has always kept her personal life out of the spotlight, allowing her craft to take center stage. Her reserved nature when it comes to private matters has earned her a reputation for dignity and discretion in an industry often obsessed with sensationalism. Now it's time to hear from you. What's your favorite role of Meryl Streep's? Let us know in the comments section below.
Musically, there was a great synergy, but romantically, it sounded like a nightmare.
Kind of was, because I just was this person constantly looking for something he couldn't give. And that part was wrong, but the music, we were right there together.
Toni Tennille spent decades singing about love, most famously in the hit Love Will Keep Us Together. But behind the music, her own relationships were quietly falling apart. While the public saw her as one half of a golden duo with Daryl Dragon, Tennille lived with emotional silence for years. She eventually divorced Dragon, just as she had her first husband before him. Today we're taking a closer look into why Toni Tennille chose to end both of her marriages. Who is Toni Tennille? Before she was part of a chart-topping musical duo, Toni Tennille was a classically trained pianist raised in Montgomery, Alabama. She studied music at Auburn University and developed a strong foundation in composition and performance. Her big break came when she worked on a rock musical in Los Angeles, which led to meeting keyboardist Daryl Dragon. Dragon, known for his time with the Beach Boys, saw potential in Tennille not just as a musician but as a lead vocalist. Together they formed Captain and Tennille, a duo that defined soft rock in the 1970s. Their 1975 breakout single, Love Will Keep Us Together, hit #1 and earned them a Grammy Award. Their television variety show followed, further cementing their image as America's sweethearts. But Tennille later said their public image was a kind of illusion. Quote, "People saw us as this happy, loving couple, and I went along with it because that was the act," she wrote in her 2016 memoir. Offstage, the relationship was very different, but she continued performing and appearing alongside Dragon for years, staying silent about the personal cost. For most of the public, Toni Tennille was the bubbly, joyful half of a musical love story, but as her memoir and later interviews revealed, her life behind closed doors was marked by emotional isolation, silent tension, and unmet needs. Marriage to Daryl Dragon, music and control.
So did you get was it a formal wedding or did you just run away?
No, at that time, we had actually been living together for 3 years before we got actually married, which was in 75. You're hearing it first right now. And my mother, who was a lovely Southern woman, kept saying, "When are you and Daryl going to get married? When are you and Daryl going to get married?" So finally, we had the hit already. Love Will Keep Us Together was up there. It was #1, and Daryl and I thought, well, we better do it now, right? Since we were kind of known as the love couple. So we decided to go up to Virginia City, which is a mining town near Reno, Nevada, where we now live, and just sneak up there and get married real quick.
Toni Tennille and Daryl Dragon's relationship began as a creative partnership. She admired his musical talent and felt a strong bond during their early collaborations. Dragon, a skilled keyboardist and arranger, had a quiet presence that made him seem thoughtful and mysterious. Over time, their working relationship became romantic, and they married in 1975, The same year, Love Will Keep Us Together became a massive hit. For the next several decades, they performed together, lived together, and were viewed as one of music's most enduring couples. But their marriage was far from what the public imagined. Daryl Dragon was intensely private and deeply withdrawn. Toni often described him as a good man but a troubled man, and pointed to his controlling nature as a difficult part of the relationship. She revealed that he handled their finances entirely and rarely discussed business matters with her. He disliked confrontation and avoided emotional conversations. Quote, Daryl had no ability to share his emotions, she wrote. He just couldn't do it. While their professional success gave them fame and fortune, it masked a personal life that was becoming increasingly strained. Tennille felt more like a caretaker than a partner. She often handled their daily affairs and decision-making alone, while Dragon retreated further into himself. His silence and control created a dynamic where she felt both stifled and deeply alone, even as the two continued to perform songs about love and connection. For years, she convinced herself that her role was to support him, but eventually the cost of staying quiet became too high. The emotional disconnection.
I gotta tell you, Jim, I tried for 40 years with Daryl. And then, of course, we had the fact that we made wonderful music together.
Right.
And I was very inspired. I was probably my most creative as a songwriter when I was with Daryl. But he was one of the most difficult men.
Toni Tennille stayed with Daryl Dragon for nearly 4 decades, but the heart of their marriage was missing something she could never ignore: emotional closeness. Over time, the silence between them grew heavier. She longed for affection, for conversation, for something more than just a shared tour schedule. What she got was distance. Quote, I kept trying to make the relationship better, she said, but then I realized Daryl wasn't going to change. His inability to connect with her on a deeper level left her feeling invisible in her own home. They slept in the same bed, yet she often described the experience as being alone. One of the most telling moments in her memoir was when she wrote, quote, I was laying next to a man who would not or could not return my love. That one sentence revealed the core of her pain. Daryl wasn't cruel or abusive. He was just shut off from her in every way that mattered. No matter how much she tried to reach him, he wouldn't meet her halfway. Tennille didn't walk away suddenly. She stayed for years, hoping something might shift. But the years brought no change, only more silence. By the time she filed for divorce in 2014, she had made peace with the idea that she couldn't live the rest of her life waiting to be seen. Quote, I knew I had to leave not to hurt him, but to save myself. After the divorce, still caring for Daryl.
You stayed in this marriage for almost 4 decades because of the fans?
That had very much to do with it. People thought we had this fairy tale relationship, and I knew that they would be disappointed.
Toni Tennille's decision to leave Daryl Dragon wasn't made in anger. Even after the divorce was finalized in 2014, she remained close with him in many ways. His health had started to decline, and she stepped in to help manage his care. Dragon had been diagnosed with a neurological disorder that was later identified as Parkinson's disease, and Tennille didn't turn her back on him. She moved him near her home in Prescott, Arizona, and visited him regularly. Quote, I wasn't going to abandon him, she said. I just couldn't stay married to him anymore. Their post-divorce relationship confused many people, including Dragon himself. He never seemed to fully understand why she left, no matter how many times she explained. That lack of understanding was part of what had made the marriage so hard. She had poured out her love and support for years, only to be met with silence and confusion. Still, she stayed by his side when he needed help. When Daryl Dragon died in 2019, Tennille was with him. She held his hand as he passed. Her grief was real, but so was her clarity. She had loved him, but she had also saved herself by leaving. The divorce hadn't erased the bond they shared, it had simply made room for her to breathe again. Her first marriage, the forgotten husband. Long before she became famous as one half of Captain and Tennille, Toni Tennille was married to a man named Kenneth Shearer. They tied the knot in the early 1960s when she was still finding her way as a musician. At the time, she was working behind the scenes in music and theater long before the spotlight ever found her. The marriage, by all accounts, was quiet and short-lived. It ended in divorce in 1972, just 3 years before her breakout hit. Tennille rarely spoke about Shearer in interviews or her memoir, but when she did, it was with a sense of detachment. There was no dramatic betrayal, there was no bitter memories. The relationship simply didn't work. It lacked the creative bond she later shared with Dragon, and it didn't offer the personal growth she was seeking as a young woman. In many ways, that first marriage was more of a stepping stone than a true partnership. The divorce marked a quiet end to a chapter of her life that had never really taken off. Her memoir and why she spoke out. For decades, Toni Tennille kept her pain private. Fans saw her as the smiling face behind soft rock love songs and the variety show she shared with Daryl Dragon. But in 2016, she released her memoir, Toni Tennille, a Memoir, and finally told the truth about what had really gone on in her personal life. Writing the book wasn't an act of revenge, it was her attempt to explain to herself and others why she had walked away from a marriage that looked perfect on the outside. She described her motivation in simple terms. Quote, "I wanted people to understand that you can love someone and still leave them." Her story wasn't about scandal, it wasn't about loneliness. In the memoir, she detailed years of emotional neglect and quiet sorrow. She didn't write with bitterness, but her tone was thoughtful and clear-eyed, the words of someone who had carried the weight of silence for too long. Now it's time to hear from you. What's your favorite memory of Captain and Tennille? Let us know in the comment section below.
Well, it's a big, epic, romantic drama.
Now tell them about the movie.
Keith Urban has long been celebrated as one of country music's most successful stars. With a career defined by heartfelt ballads, electrifying performances, and a marriage to Hollywood icon Nicole Kidman that seemed to embody the perfect blend of glamour and stability. But behind the glossy red carpet photos and affectionate public tributes, cracks had begun to show. And now the nearly 2-decade marriage has come to an end. In the wake of their separation, Nicole is reportedly devastated, while Urban has raised eyebrows with whispers of a new and much younger romance already making headlines. The breakdown of a Hollywood power couple.
Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban have separated, according to multiple outlets.
I don't think anyone's the perfect anything. I'm not a believer in perfect.
For years, Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban were seen as one of entertainment's most enduring couples. They met in 2005 at a gala in Los Angeles, and only a year later, they were married in a ceremony in Sydney that seemed pulled from the pages of a fairy tale. They built a life that combined the prestige of Hollywood and the intimacy of Nashville, raising 2 daughters, Sunday Rose and Faith Margaret. On the surface, theirs was a partnership that balanced Kidman's Oscar-winning film career with Urban's chart-topping success in country music. Fans often noted how natural they appeared on red carpets, with Kidman praising her husband in interviews and Urban writing lyrics that spoke directly to their love. Behind the scenes, however, the pressures of fame and the realities of 2 demanding careers created strains that could no longer be ignored. Reports of time spent apart became more frequent, and those closest to the couple revealed that the separation had been quietly unfolding for months before the official filing. The summer leading up to their divorce highlighted this growing distance, with Kidman filming Practical Magic 2 in London while Urban embarked on his High and Alive world tour. Their time apart seemed to highlight just how different their lives had become. Sources close to Kidman have said she felt devastated and betrayed by the dissolution of her marriage. The actress, who only months earlier had posted a heartfelt anniversary tribute celebrating 19 years with Urban, reportedly did not expect the final decision to come so swiftly. For her, the end of the relationship was more than the loss of a spouse. It was the unraveling of nearly 2 decades of shared history, triumphs, and personal struggles that included Urban's public battle with addiction. Urban's friends, on the other hand, were less shocked by the turn of events. Insiders have suggested that those close to the singer had long believed the separation was inevitable. They noted the pair had been living separately for some time, and that the romantic devotion they once so proudly displayed in public was no longer as strong behind closed doors. Whispers of a younger romance.
We are hearing that Keith Urban, at least this is the belief of the people who are in Keith and Nicole's circle, is involved in a relationship with another woman. Is it something that predated the separation? Is it something that has happened after the separation? That's the big question, and unfortunately, it's an unanswered question at this point.
Almost immediately after news of the divorce broke, Speculation surfaced that Keith Urban had already moved on to a new relationship. Insiders in Nashville's music scene were quick to suggest that Urban was now romantically linked to a much younger woman connected to the business. According to one PR insider, quote, "It's all everyone is talking about. Everyone wants to know who, but so far that's a mystery." The talk, however, soon shifted from anonymous gossip to a more concrete figure, rising country musician Maggie Baugh. Baugh, just 25 years old, had been working closely with Urban as part of his touring band. Their on-stage chemistry caught attention during a recent performance when Urban changed the lyrics of his hit song The Fighter, originally written as a love note to Kidman, to include Maggie's name. Instead of singing "Baby, I'll Be the Fighter," Urban replaced the line with "Maggie, I'll be your guitar player." Baugh herself posted a clip of the moment to Instagram, adding cryptic emojis that only fueled speculation further. Fans quickly interpreted the lyric change as more than playful improvisation, viewing it as a public acknowledgement of a budding relationship. While neither Urban nor Baugh has confirmed any romantic involvement, sources insist that, quote, "all the signs point to something more than just professional collaboration." Insiders told TMZ and Daily Mail that the news was already all over Nashville and that Kidman herself did not dispute the rumors, though she was reportedly still shocked over it. The possibility that Urban has entered a new romance so soon after his nearly 20-year marriage has sparked intense debate among fans and observers alike. Adding to the intrigue is the way Urban seems to be reshaping the music that once symbolized his love for Kidman. The Fighter in particular had been described by Urban as an intimate vow to protect his wife and honor their bond. Nicole's side of the story.
And Keith's always said, "You're like a raw egg that I have to be the shell for."
Do you think that's true?
Probably a bit, yeah. I have like a lot of emotions, that I can access and feel, and I definitely have access to it. Like, it comes immediately.
They're bringing Keith.
For Nicole Kidman, the divorce has been described as nothing less than crushing. According to Page 6, the actress feels betrayed and really upset about the way things ended. Having invested nearly 2 decades into her marriage, the sudden unraveling left her reeling. Just a few months earlier, she had spoken glowingly about Urban, describing him to People magazine as her deep, deep love. She often credited him with bringing stability to her life after her difficult first marriage to Tom Cruise, and the two regularly expressed public admiration for each other's careers. The sense of betrayal reportedly stems not only from the speed of the breakup, but from Urban's apparent willingness to move forward so quickly. Friends of Kidman have said that while she suspected the relationship had issues, she did not believe Urban would so rapidly pursue someone new, especially someone considerably younger. At 58, Kidman remains one of Hollywood's most celebrated talents, but the whispers surrounding Urban's younger rumored partner have added to the emotional toll of the split. Professionally, Kidman has been deeply invested in her acting projects, including her role in Practical Magic 2 and the buzz surrounding her daring performance in the erotic thriller Baby Girl. Ironically, that very role may have contributed to growing strain in her marriage. Reports suggest that Urban struggled with the on-screen intimacy Kidman shared with her much younger co-star Harris Dickinson. Although Kidman described the role as liberating, Urban reportedly had a more difficult time separating her professional life from their personal one. Those close to Kidman have emphasized that while she continues to carry herself with grace, she's heartbroken. The public and private struggles of the marriage.
I have the most extraordinary partner in life.
Keith and Nicole's marriage was never short on public drama and private struggles. Early in their union, Urban entered rehab for substance abuse just months after the wedding, an ordeal that could have ended the relationship before it had begun. Instead, Kidman staged an intervention with close friends, an act that Urban later credited with saving his life. Quote, "Everything was just designed, I believe, for that moment to fuse us together," he told Oprah in 2010. Over the years, the couple weathered the ups and downs of fame, raising their daughters while balancing international careers. They were frequent fixtures on red carpets, and their affectionate gestures became a hallmark of their public appearances. When Kidman received acclaim for roles in projects like Big Little Lies, Urban was often nearby, visibly supportive. Similarly, Kidman stood by his side at music award shows, cheering on his continued dominance in country music. But even as they projected unity, cracks in the foundation of their marriage were quietly deepening. Scheduling conflicts, long stretches apart, and the natural strain of life in the public eye wore on their relationship. Sources told publications that by the time the divorce filing arrived, the two had already been living separately for months. What makes the story even more compelling is how both stars navigated their careers in ways that sometimes collided with their marriage. Kidman's bold artistic choices, particularly her role in Baby Girl, highlighted her willingness to take risks, while Urban's relentless touring schedule underscored his devotion to music above all else. The new chapter for Keith.
Nicole signed the doc yesterday and cites irreconcilable differences. The actress was granted primary custody of their 2 teenage daughters.
I've been working on a few things that are going to come out sometime this year, I think. I just did a track with Pink yesterday.
Amazing.
A new duet with her.
Yeah, how many now?
This will be the second one. So we did one too many.
Okay.
And yesterday was great because I got to go to her house and do it like at her house. Yeah.
With their marriage now officially dissolved, attention has turned to Keith's next chapter. His rumored connection with Maggie Baugh has been a focal point, but it also raises broader questions about how Urban plans to move forward. At 57, he remains a major force in country music, with an active touring schedule that includes dates across the US, the Bahamas, and the UK well into 2026. The presence of Maggie Baugh in his touring band, coupled with the headline-grabbing lyric change, has added an extra layer of intrigue to his performances. Now it's time to hear from you. Do you think Keith has truly moved on with Maggie Baugh, or are these just rumors? Let us know in the comments section below.
I'm not a very smart person. I'm enjoying the ignorance. Like, I'll try to fake something in the wrong way, That's tough. She's this extraordinarily, fun, smart, beautiful, great woman. And, I was just very taken with her. And I started writing her letter.
George and Amal Clooney are allegedly heading for a divorce and are living completely separate lives.
I don't want to be with anyone else. I couldn't sleep when we were apart. None of that has changed.
We've never had an argument. We still have it.
You still have it?
No, we're trying to find something to fight about.
Harry Styles and George Clooney are allegedly sleeping together and have been on again, off again for years now.
George Clooney wasn't always the cool-headed Hollywood icon with the silver hair and the Amal Clooney era glow. Before he was the industry's most charming power player, he was a young actor in the mid-80s trying to make a name for himself, and falling hard for a woman who already had one. Her name was Talia Balsam, and before Amal, before the mansions, before the sexiest man alive headlines, she was George's first and only wife. It started in 1984, long before Clooney's fame hit its orbit. He and Talia met while performing together in a local play, two ambitious actors chasing the same dream. George was 23, still hustling for roles. Talia, 25, came from Hollywood royalty. Her father was Oscar-winning actor Martin Balsam, her mother the veteran performer Joyce Van Patten. She had connections, experience, and that quiet poise that comes from being born into the business. For George, she wasn't just another Hollywood crush, she was the real thing, the kind of woman who made him feel like life had finally lined up the way it was supposed to. They fell for each other quickly, the kind of relationship that looks effortless from the outside, but hides the usual turbulence behind the scenes.
Have you just had an anniversary, I believe? Is it 11 years?
11 years. They said it wouldn't last. Come on, man. They took her to dinner, and then we had a really nice, beautiful anniversary party. It was nice.
Yes, it was lovely. It was very romantic.
Thank you.
The details won't be disclosed on TV.
They broke up once, then found their way back to each other, only stronger, more certain. By December 1989, George Clooney and Talia Balsam were standing under the neon lights of Las Vegas saying, "I do." It was spontaneous, it was wild, and for a moment it felt perfect. George was still years away from ER, from Hollywood stardom, from the life he's known for now. He was just a young man in love, gambling on a marriage that he thought would last forever, but it didn't. By 1992, barely 3 years later, it was over. The marriage collapsed quietly, but completely. Clooney filed for divorce, and the fallout wasn't the loud, scandalous kind you'd expect from Hollywood, but it cut deep. Years later, in interviews, George would admit it wasn't Talia's fault. He said he was the problem, immature, unready, lost in the noise of ambition. I probably, definitely, wasn't someone who should have been married at that point. He told Vanity Fair, I just don't feel like I gave Talia a fair shot. Even then, you could hear the regret in his voice. For all the women George dated after, he never badmouthed her, never rewrote history to make himself look better. He called her the one girl he truly loved, the one who got away because he couldn't hold himself together long enough to deserve her. When they divorced, Clooney wanted it to be clean. No drama, no drawn-out legal battle. He reportedly told her, you tell me what's fair, I'll write the check. But Hollywood doesn't make anything easy. He later admitted he spent $80,000 just in lawyer fees. That makes me crazy, he said, shaking his head. You could tell the money wasn't what bothered him. It was the fact that even the breakup got complicated and that he couldn't fix it. By the time he spoke to Barbara Walters on 20/20th in 1995, Clooney had turned the page, at least publicly. When she asked about marriage, he smiled and said, I won't marry again. It wasn't cynicism, it was exhaustion. He'd tried love once and it didn't fit him. I wasn't very good at it, he said. I was the one in the relationship who wasn't willing to fix things. He took the blame every time he was asked. No deflection, no bitterness, just honesty. And that became part of his charm, the humility behind the smile. But underneath that self-awareness was something deeper. Fear. George Clooney wasn't just avoiding marriage. He was running from the idea of being responsible for someone else's happiness. He admitted as much. I don't ever want to have the responsibility of messing somebody up like that, he told Vanity Fair. When people pushed him about kids, he brushed it off. Everybody keeps telling me I have to have children, and they keep betting I will. Nicole Kidman and Michelle Pfeiffer even bet him $10,000 each that he'd be a father by 40. When he hit 40 and didn't, they sent the checks. Clooney sent them back, with double or nothing on the line for 50. He joked about it, but there was always truth behind the humor. They think it's that I hate kids, he said, but I adore them. He just didn't trust himself to be that kind of man yet. The one who could give stability, who wouldn't lose interest the moment things got hard. That's what ended his marriage to Talia. It wasn't cheating or scandal or betrayal. It was timing. He was chasing a dream and marriage didn't fit into the picture yet. He admitted he lost interest the minute things became difficult, that he didn't know how to stay when love required work instead of fantasy. It's ironic though. Talia Balsam went on to find her own version of peace. She married Mad Men star John Slattery, built a steady career, and even starred on HBO's Divorce. When she was asked about her past with Clooney, she didn't hesitate to keep it classy. Absolutely. George is charming, she told People. He remains charming. I've worked with him. No resentment, no bitterness, just quiet understanding. The kind that only comes when both people have lived long enough to stop blaming anyone. For George, the divorce left a permanent mark. For decades, he stood by his vow. No second chances, no marriage. He dated, sure, famous faces, glamorous women, red carpets, and tabloid covers, but he always kept one foot out the door. Marriage was off limits, almost like a personal rule carved from regret. He told interviewers he simply wasn't built for it, that he was better off alone, that he'd tried, failed, and didn't want to hurt someone else by repeating the pattern. And for nearly 25 years, he meant it. Then Amal Alamuddin walked into his life, and everything he thought he knew about love flipped upside down. She wasn't a Hollywood actress, or a model, or a fleeting distraction. She was an international human rights lawyer, brilliant, self-assured, and immune to his charm. Clooney himself said he knew right away. I felt like I'd met someone I would spend the rest of my life with, and that's exactly what he did. They married in 2014 in Venice, Italy, the polar opposite of his impulsive Vegas wedding decades earlier. This time, he wasn't running from commitment, he was running toward it. In 2017, they welcomed twins, Ella and Alexander. The man who once swore off fatherhood forever became the kind of doting, present dad people thought he'd never be. Looking back, that's what makes his first marriage so haunting. Not because it ended badly, but because it shaped everything that came after. Talia Balsam was the test, the heartbreak, the lesson he didn't realize he needed. She was the reminder that love isn't something you walk into unprepared, it's something you earn. George Clooney divorced his wife in 1992, not because he stopped loving her, but because he wasn't ready to be the man she needed. It took him decades to grow into that person. When you look at him now, the calm, thoughtful husband, the proud father, the man who talks about them all with that soft grin, you can still see the young actor who once stood under the Vegas lights, believing love was something you could win on impulse. He lost that bet, but in losing it, he learned exactly what kind of man he had to become to finally get it right.
Many fans want to know, how do you keep that spark alive? What's the secret to this amazing relationship?
Friendship, laughter, and mutual respect, and just love. I mean, we were texting this afternoon because we were not together until right before red carpet because he was really busy. And you were flirting with me in text. I mean, I'm just saying, you were flirting pretty hard. It's always a first date.
When most people think of Trisha Yearwood's love life, but before she was Mrs. Yearwood to Garth, Trisha walked through the fire of another marriage and a painful divorce. Today we're diving into a lesser-known chapter of Yearwood's life, her relationship with Robert Reynolds, bassist for the Mavericks, and the ugly truth behind their split. Trisha Yearwood's early relationships.
This is the time of year that all the turtles have said goodbye for the.
Where do they go?
For the winter.
Where do
they go to a
turtles
big
go?
party. Most of them that have money go to the south of France. But
Yearwood's first marriage was to Chris Latham, lasting from 1987 to 91. This early experience with divorce later influenced her approach to relationships and personal growth. As her music career began to take off in the early 90s, she found herself navigating the complexities of balancing love and a burgeoning professional life. The romance blossomed quickly, and the couple soon became a notable pair in the Nashville music scene. Reynolds, with his own rising star as part of the Maverick, seemed to be a perfect match for Yearwood. The whirlwind romance and marriage.
this MCA reel was playing 24 hours a day on the TV, and I just tuned in. And there she was. And it all came together. This is the girl. This is the video. Yeah, it's all coming together. I said, this girl, I don't know what it is, but I have like a high school crush on her.
In 1994, at age 30, Yearwood took a leap of faith and married Reynolds in a ceremony that seemed to embody their shared love of country music tradition. It took place at the historic Ryman Auditorium in Nashville, Tennessee. This venue, often referred to as the Mother Church of Country Music, was the former home of the Grand Ole Opry and held deep significance for both Yearwood and Reynolds. It seemed to symbolize their commitment not just to each other, but to their shared passion for country music. Their union at the time was seen as a perfect match, two rising stars in the country music world. In the early years of the marriage, Yearwood and Reynolds seemed to embody the ideal of a country music power couple. They supported each other's careers, often seen together at industry events and award shows. Their relationship appeared to be built on a foundation of shared interests and mutual respect for each other's talents. The challenges of fame and marriage.
Robert is a great communicator. I would not say that I am the best communicator, and I think he has brought it out of me. You know, I'm the one who will, be kind of a jerk, and he won't really know why, and I won't really, I'm the one who will all of a sudden say, why don't you ever put water in a dish in the sink before, why do you let the cereal dry in the bowl? And I'm the one who will lose it over that, and it's really something else.
As Trisha's star continued to rise, the strain on her marriage to Robert Reynolds became increasingly apparent. The late 90s saw Yearwood's career reach new heights, with back-to-back wins as Female Vocalist of the Year at the Country Music Association Awards in '97 and '98. While these were undoubtedly deserved and celebrated, they also highlighted the growing disparity between Yearwood's and Reynolds' respective career trajectories. The demands of Trisha's flourishing solo career often meant long periods apart from Reynolds, who was busy with his own commitments to the Mavericks. The couple found themselves struggling to balance their individual professional lives with the needs of their marriage. And the intense public scrutiny that comes with fame added another layer of pressure to their relationship. Every public appearance, every career decision, and every perceived interaction became fodder for media speculation. This constant attention can be particularly challenging for a young couple still finding their footing in both their careers and their marriage. As Yearwood's popularity soared, she found herself increasingly in demand for tours, television appearances, and other commitments that took her away from home. Meanwhile, Reynolds was experiencing his own success with the Mavericks, but the band's schedule didn't always align with Yearwood's. The pressures of maintaining a public image while dealing with private struggles likely took a toll on both Yearwood and Reynolds. Growing apart.
Obviously, we're not together enough, not like most couples would desire. She's in Los Angeles tonight performing, and we're here. And it's tough at times, but we love our jobs, and we love our work, our art, our careers, whatever.
As the years went by, it became increasingly clear that Yearwood and Reynolds were growing apart rather than together. The irreconcilable differences cited in their eventual divorce filing likely encompassed a multitude of factors, from conflicting schedules to diverging personal and professional goals. One of the challenges they faced was the difficulty in finding shared time and experiences. With both of their careers demanding so much of their attention, it became harder to nurture their relationship. The excitement of their early romance began to fade in the face of day-to-day realities and the pressures of their high-profile lives. Additionally, as her solo career continued to skyrocket, she may have found herself outgrowing the dynamics of her marriage. Personal growth and evolving aspirations can sometimes lead partners in different directions. The divorce and its aftermath. After 5 years of marriage, Trisha Yearwood and Robert Reynolds filed for divorce in 1999. The official reason given was irreconcilable differences, a term that often masks the complex and painful realities of a relationship's breakdown. For Yearwood, who was now 35, this second divorce was a particularly difficult experience. In an interview with Country Weekly magazine, Yearwood opened up about the emotional toll of the split. Quote, "Since I do hang on to the past with my fingernails, divorce was difficult," she explained. "It's a serious decision involving someone you're tied to emotionally, so it's hard to move on. And it's easy to drag things out so you don't have to face people talking about you." This admission reveals the personal struggle that Yearwood faced in coming to terms with the end of her marriage. It also highlights the added pressure of going through such a personal crisis in the public eye. The divorce became a turning point for Yearwood, personally and professionally. Rather than allowing the experience to defeat her, she chose to channel her emotions into her music. The period of reflection and growth led to the creation of her album Real Live Woman, released in 2000. A musical catharsis. The album Real Live Woman stands as a testament to Trisha's resilience and her ability to transform personal pain into art. The title track, in particular, became an anthem of empowerment and self-acceptance. Yearwood explained her connection to the song, saying, quote, "I recorded Real Live Woman because I loved that the woman in the song is strong, independent, and to a point where she doesn't mind speaking her opinion. It says I'm confident, sexy, and wonderful, and here's the man who loves me the way I am. That's the woman I'm aspiring to be." Personal growth and new beginnings.
But in a marriage, if you can't do that, it has to be about the other person. So you have to figure out how to make that adjustment. And my theory is if you're not happy with yourself, you're not going to be happy in a marriage. So, and I've learned that lesson myself before. So I think that's the other thing. And we made our marriage a priority. So as much as we have these careers and as much as we are busy, we rarely spend a night apart. And when that was a conscious decision for us that we would not get married to be together, to be apart.
The period following her divorce was one of significant personal growth. She spoke about taking responsibility for her life and making changes where needed. Quote, "It's been a real emotional year," she told Country Weekly, "but it's been a journey. It's like I'm finally saying, at 35, it's time to take responsibility for myself, change the things that aren't working, and get on with it." Interestingly, it was during this time of personal reinvention that Yearwood's friendship with Garth Brooks began to deepen. While they had known each other for years, it wasn't until after Yearwood's divorce from Reynolds that the relationship evolved into something more romantic. Life after divorce for Trisha and Robert.
She was asking what our favorite part of the night was, and I think it's when, as much as we love the show, it's when we get in the car and head home and maybe drive through Taco Bell.
While Trisha's career continued to flourish after the divorce, Robert's life took a different trajectory. He remained with the Mavericks for several more years, but personal struggles began to overshadow his professional life. In 2014, he was removed from the band due to his battle with opiate addiction. He's been open about his struggles, sharing in a 2018 interview, quote, "Between 2007 and 2014, I was progressively self-medicating all of my hurts. I had a longing to be that group of guys with a singular vision. That's not realistic, I know, but it's my nature to hold on to the past." Tragically, he faced further hardship when his wife, Angie Crabtree Reynolds, passed away in 2015 after a long battle with cancer. But despite these challenges, he has shown resilience. He released new music in 2017 and has found a new path in life, living in Indiana with his partner Michelle and selling art on Etsy. Now it's time to hear from you. That led to personal growth and new opportunities? Let us know in the comments section below. At the height of his success, Burt Reynolds was one of the most popular movie stars in the world, but this all came crashing down for the actor around the time of his divorce from television actress Lonnie Anderson. The divorce came at a low point in Burt's career, and he subsequently had to file for bankruptcy. Allegations of abuse have tainted the actor's legacy, though he was able to put aside his differences with Lonnie before his 2018 death after achieving a career renaissance in the late 90s. Although Burt and Lonnie set aside their differences, she remains open about her dissatisfaction with their marriage. Join Facts First as Lonnie Anderson confesses secrets behind Burt Reynolds' divorce. When Burt Reynolds was in college, he had aspirations of becoming a professional football player. It appeared he might have the skills, but he ended up suffering a number of tragic injuries that prevented him from pursuing his dreams. Instead, Burt turned to acting in his college drama department. Eventually, he realized he was good enough at it that it might make a promising career. He made a bid for Hollywood stardom, and it proved successful. At the height of his success, he was one of the most popular stars in the world. He used this clout to date a variety of Hollywood starlets, though he was only married 2 times over the course of his life. Burt's first spouse had been a woman named Judy Carn, who he married in 1963 and divorced in 65. Burt didn't marry again until over 2 decades later. He dated around in Hollywood for a number of years, and many thought the star would never find someone worthy of pinning him down. But that all changed when he starred alongside actress Lonnie Anderson in the 1983 film Stroker Ace. Lonnie had gained success for her tenure on the sitcom WKRP in Cincinnati, and her role in Stroker Ace was an attempt to break into film. Though it didn't prove successful, it did prove the start of a relationship that later blossomed into marriage. Lonnie had been on WKRP for 5 years as the radio station's lovable secretary. Audiences and critics alike adored her, and she was nominated for 3 Golden Globe Awards. Lonnie's success on the series garnered her the role alongside Burt Reynolds in Stroker Ace, and it's not hard to see how the actress made an impression on him. Stroker Ace followed the exploits of its titular character, a NASCAR driver played by Reynolds. Lonnie Anderson played his love interest. Though the film isn't too widely remembered, the resulting relationship between Burt and Lonnie certainly made an impact on the tabloids. The two dated for a number of years before tying the knot in 1988. Their wedding was incredibly elaborate, and attendees had to be flown in by helicopter. It took place in Florida and was given its own article in People magazine. It seemed to the public Burt and Lonnie were living the dream, but this dream soon turned to a nightmare. Soon into their marriage, Burt and Lonnie decided to adopt a son. While the adopted child was meant to bring the pair together, other things were tearing them apart. One of the biggest concerns Burt had with Lonnie seems to have been her exuberant spending habits. Burt had reportedly given his spouse a credit card with a spending limit of nearly $50,000, which Lonnie spent in less than an hour. There were also numerous rumors of infidelity on the part of both spouses, something that didn't come as much of a surprise to the public given their romantic histories. The tabloids documented all these troubles, and the public enjoyed watching the former power couple become fodder for increasingly dramatic gossip. Into the 1990s, it was clear the marriage between Burt and Lonnie wasn't going to last. They divorced in 1994, after which point Burt could be seen and heard all over the media spouting vitriol about his former spouse. Lonnie refused to retaliate, saying she didn't want to stoop to her former husband's level. But she eventually came forward with some shocking stories of abuse she claimed to have suffered at Burt's hands. Hey, if you're enjoying this video so far, be sure to give it a like and subscribe to Facts First if you haven't already. And stick around for more about Burt and Lonnie. By the time Burt and Lonnie were divorcing in 1994, neither star was anywhere near the celebrity they'd once been. Their relationship was arguably their only remaining source of fame, as the vicious rumors Burt began spreading about his former wife became the only thing the public was interested in hearing from either party. Burt ended up filing for bankruptcy after the divorce, so it's not hard to see why he saw fit to continually bring up the fact that his marriage to Lonnie had cost him so much money. He derided her for being overly materialistic, claiming she couldn't be be seen wearing the same outfit more than once. Lonnie refused to retaliate at first to Bert's attacks in the media before eventually changing her mind. Although Lonnie had made a pact with herself not to stoop to her husband's level, she eventually decided she had no choice. When she finally started bringing to light her own side of the story, the tales she had to tell proved much more damning than Bert's tales of a materialistic wife. According to Lonnie, Bert was physically abusive to her numerous times during their marriage, with him constantly telling her no one would believe her over him due to the fact that he was more famous. Bert claimed the marriage fell apart because Lonnie had refused to be intimate with him for 3 years. He also shared a tale that his mother had told him that marrying Lonnie was a bad idea during the marriage ceremony. But if Lonnie's stories are true, Bert deserved the damage to his reputation and career that came alongside his divorce. While Bert had sunk to rock bottom in the years after his divorce from Lonnie, he ended up being given a second chance when he was cast in the 1997 film Boogie Nights. The public had a hard time reconciling Bert's rejuvenated stardom with Lonnie's allegations. However, it appears that both the public and Lonnie herself agreed to forgive Bert by the time of his 2018 death. The two were reported to have made up to the point they were able to sit down and have dinner together in the years before he died. Lonnie always maintained Bert had been physically abusive towards her, but she also always maintained Bert had always been a loving father. Princess Diana was competing for tabloid fodder for Burt Reynolds and Lonnie Anderson around the time of their divorce, with the couple winning out much of the headline space during the most heated moments. Because of this, Princess Di was said to have sent Burt Reynolds a card thanking him for keeping her name out of the tabloids for the time being. Bert owed money to Lonnie from the divorce until just a year before his death. He had a hard time keeping up with the hefty payments due to his sporadic work later on in life, but was eventually able to give her everything the court said he owed her. Reynolds died of a heart attack at age 82. While Bert and Lonnie may have found peace before the end of his life, Bert always claimed the two were never meant to be together. According to Bert, the only true love of his life was actress Sally Fields. They met on Smokey and the Bandit and developed a romantic relationship, but it eventually fell apart due to Bert's substance abuse. This substance abuse also continued throughout his marriage to Lonnie, playing a part in his poor behavior. Soon after his death, Sally Fields published a memoir called In Pieces. According to Sally, she was glad that Bert was dead by the time of the memoir's publishing due to the things it said about him. Goldie and Gus. Hawn's first marriage was to Gus Trichonis. The pair had a romantic relationship in the late 60s and early 70s. Gus, born November 18th, 1937 in New York, was a Greek-American actor, director, and choreographer. He had a notable career in Hollywood, particularly as a choreographer and director for various TV shows and films. Goldie and Gus met in the late 60s when Goldie was still a rising star in Hollywood. They began dating and soon became a high-profile couple in the entertainment industry. Their relationship was marked by their shared passion for dance and entertainment. Goldie and Gus got married May 16, 1969. The wedding took place in Honolulu. Sadly, they separated April 9, 1973. After the relationship came to an end, both of them moved on to other pursuits. Goldie continued her successful acting career, earning an Academy Award for her role in Cactus Flower and becoming a prominent figure in the world of comedy and film. Gus Trichonis continued his career as a choreographer and director. Goldie and Bill. Goldie Hawn and Bill Hudson, a musician and actor, met in the early 70s. The two were both on a flight together and struck up a conversation shortly before landing. Bill was a member of the popular musical group the Hudson Brothers, known for their music and appearances on television shows. Goldie and Bill's relationship progressed quickly, and they became engaged in 1975. They exchanged their vows in a private and intimate ceremony July 3, 1976, in Tacoma Park, Maryland, at Bill Hudson's family home. It was attended by close friends and family members, making it a relatively low-key affair despite Goldie's rising fame in Hollywood. Goldie, known for her free-spirited and easygoing nature, opted for a less traditional wedding approach, which was aligned with her personality. Their ups and downs. Goldie and Bill's relationship was marked by both joyous moments and challenges. They welcomed their first child, a son named Oliver Hudson, on September 7, 1976. Their second child, Kate Hudson, was born April 19, 1979. These moments of becoming parents were undoubtedly joyous occasions for the couple. As a Hollywood pair, Goldie and Bill were often seen at public events together, and they appeared to be a happy and loving family. They were known for their relaxed and carefree approach to life, which endeared them to many fans. Over time, Goldie and Bill's career priorities began to diverge. Goldie's career in Hollywood continued to flourish, while Bill's career as a musician faced challenges. This shift in their professional lives may have added strain to the relationship. After their divorce in 1982, Goldie Hawn and Bill Hudson remained committed to co-parenting their two children, Kate and Oliver. Despite the end of the relationship, they prioritized their roles as parents and maintained a functional co-parenting arrangement. This included attending school events, birthdays, and other important milestones in their children's upbringing. Their dedication to providing a stable and loving environment for Kate and Oliver was evident. Kate and Oliver often expressed gratitude for the love and support they received from both sides of the family. The different takes on the divorce. Over the years, Goldie and Bill have talked about the details of the relationship and their divorce, but their takes are quite different, which perhaps shouldn't come as a huge surprise. Goldie, for her part, talked about the relationship a lot over the years, often in interviews. She portrayed it as a situation that went south, in large part because he was jealous of her success. This was a trait she claims Bill shared with Gus. She was quoted as saying, "The basic problem was that the two men I fell in love with and married just could not cope with the pressure of having a wife who was more successful than they were." However, Bill, after years of silence on the topic, released a memoir called Two Versions: The Other Side of Fame and Family. In his book, Bill Hudson shares his perspective on their relationship and the events leading to their divorce, which differs from the narrative often presented by Goldie Hawn. One notable aspect of Hudson's account is his assertion that Goldie had expressed a desire for an open marriage after they got married. According to his claim, Goldie conveyed this idea to him, suggesting they should have the freedom to explore other romantic relationships outside of the marriage. This was a significant point of contention in the relationship. In Two Versions, Bill also suggests that Goldie has misrepresented the story of the divorce. He shares his perspective on the challenges and issues that led to the end of the marriage. He also claims Goldie has portrayed the situation inaccurately to her family. In an interview about the book, Bill takes issue with Goldie's constant references to him not living up to his role as a husband and father. Said Bill, "For years, I have been living with the hell of Goldie manipulating the story of our time together." He added that she presents a story to the world that he had abandoned the family, and that her longtime partner, Kurt Russell, has been the only real man in the situation. It's of course worth noting divorces are often complex and involve multiple viewpoints, and it's not uncommon for each party to have their own version of events. For decades now, Goldie has been with actor Kurt Russell. Although the two met for the first time on the set of the Disney musical film The One and Only Genuine Original Family Band in '68, they didn't start dating at the time. Goldie was married to Bill Hudson then, and Kurt Russell was a young actor trying to establish himself in the industry. But their initial meeting planted the seeds for a friendship that eventually led to romance. Goldie and Kurt reconnected on the set of the World War II-era film Swing Shift in 1983. At this point, they were both single, having gone through divorces. Their on-screen chemistry was undeniable, and they developed a strong bond off-screen as well. While filming Swing Shift, they began to date. Their romantic relationship blossomed naturally and organically, and they soon became one of Hollywood's most beloved couples. Despite their long-lasting and committed relationship, Goldie and Kurt made the choice not to get married. They've been together for decades without formalizing the relationship through marriage, a decision they've explained as a reflection of their commitment to each other rather than a lack of commitment. Another aspect of their relationship is the blending of their families. Goldie has 2 children from her previous marriage, Kate and Oliver Hudson, while Kurt Russell had a son, Boston Russell, from his previous marriage. And then they had a son, Wyatt, together in 1986. Together they raised these children and became a close-knit and loving blended family. Over the years, Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell have appeared in several films together, including Overboard in 1987 and The Christmas Chronicles in 2018, which have only further solidified their status as one of Hollywood's most iconic and enduring couples. Their relationship is often cited as a testament to the power of love, trust, and mutual respect in maintaining a successful partnership in the entertainment industry. McQueen turned McGraw's life and career upside down. Born to commercial artist parents in Bedford Village, New York, McGraw grew up with a lack of self-esteem and was surrounded by drama. Her parents were constantly at odds with each other, and her father was a morbid alcoholic whose temper flared when he hit the bottle. To get away from her home life, she started modeling, landing a pretty decent gig under Diana Vreeland. A couple years later, she scored her first role in the film A Lovely Way to Die. Her next significant bit of screen time was in the hit 1969 rom-com Goodbye Columbus. While she was modeling in college, Ally met director Robert Evans, who eventually cast her in Love Story as Jenny. One day, McGraw visited Evans' Beverly Hills home to go over the role and ended up never leaving. The two struck up a romance and got married not long after. McGraw's career suddenly exploded. The positive critical reception her previous performances had garnered, coupled with her marriage to one of Tinseltown's most revered directors, resulted in her being one of the most sought-after actresses of her day. In 1971, McQueen came to her home to inquire if she wanted to work with him on The Getaway. But from the moment she opened the door, Ally was absolutely smitten by the handsome man standing in front of her. They shared an instant connection that led to them starting an affair. Not long after, McGraw left Evans and moved in with McQueen. And for a spell, their life was filled with romance and happiness that they'd never known before. Before we tell you more, be sure to give this video a like and subscribe to FactsVerse if you haven't already. Ally describes their relationship as chemical. In 2018, the 83-year-old actress sat down with People magazine and discussed her marriage to Steve McQueen. When describing what kind of relationship they had, Ally referred to it as chemical. McGraw said Steve could walk into a room and any man, woman, or child would go, "Whoa, what was that?" She went on to say she was no exception. While Ally found McQueen incredibly attractive most of the time, she said there was always an element of danger with him, adding there was, as she put it, a bad boy there. In 2017, McGraw gave another interview to the UK's Times news outlet. She described how their marriage started blissful but quickly spiraled into chaos. The two lived together in a secluded Malibu home where they spent most of their time, quote, half naked on the beach while enjoying frequent barbecues and a never-ending supply of beer and cannabis. Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau were their neighbors, but they mainly mingled with the more common folk. McGraw told The Times she's grateful they lived there before the advent of the modern smartphone and the invasion of privacy that comes with celebrities having their pictures taken when they step out of their homes. While they still had to put up with the paparazzi, they at least knew where they were going to be. McQueen's dark side reared its ugly head. While Ally had described McQueen as being a principled and original person, when they first got together, she didn't know he was battling his own inner demons related to childhood traumas. His dad had abandoned his family when he was a baby, and his mom sent him to boarding school for troubled children when he was 14. Since then, he never trusted women. McGraw unfortunately had to learn this the hard way. Her first red flag was when he made her sign a prenup, but at the time she was too infatuated to suspect anything about him might have been worrisome. He wanted her to quit working. Another red flag was McQueen's pre-matrimonial demand that she quit working. Instead of fighting this request and sticking with her lucrative and successful acting career, she simply submitted and stayed at home to raise their two sons. Pretty soon, McGraw started feeling stifled. Steve would regularly explode with anger if he saw her so much as look at another man. Not one to talk, his eyes would often wander. Not surprisingly, their relationship quickly soured, and in 1977 they separated and divorced a year later. In 1980, when McQueen died of cancer, McGraw was understandably devastated. Their marriage might not have been the best, but she still loved him. Throughout their time together, she always feared he would someday leave her, but she never expected him to leave the world so soon. McGraw fell into a deep, dark depression. To numb her pain, she sought solace in alcohol. She soon found herself at the Betty Ford Clinic, where she admitted to not only being an alcoholic, but also identified as male. It's unclear whether or not she still identifies as a man, as she still uses female pronouns. But the fact that she was able to come to terms with her alcoholism was an enormous step in the right direction. She underwent extensive therapy to curb her addiction, and in 1994, she left Hollywood behind to live a quiet life in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Since then, she's penned an autobiography called Moving Pictures that has earned her the title of best-selling author. McGraw admits that for the longest time, she continued to live in the past, always pondering what might have been if things had played out differently. But now, she's more focused than she has ever been on her future. In addition to writing, McGraw also likes to paint, garden, and occasionally go out on a date or two. She also devotes a lot of time and energy to animal welfare causes and actively practices a daily meditation and yoga routine. She's not that interested in acting anymore, but in 2016, she briefly reunited with her former Love Story co-star Ryan O'Neal for a touring production of the play Love Letters. The two aging stars have maintained a close relationship over the years and still enjoy each other's company immensely. Suzanne's career. Suzanne Pleshette had a remarkable career in the entertainment industry, leaving behind a legacy of memorable performances and contributions to film, television, and stage. With her distinctive voice, charisma, and talent, she showcased her versatility as an actress and became a beloved figure in the world of entertainment. One of her career highlights was her role as Emily Hartley, the witty and intelligent wife of Bob Newhart's character in the classic sitcom The Bob Newhart Show. Her portrayal of Emily garnered critical acclaim and earned her multiple Emmy Award nominations, showcasing her comedic timing and ability to bring depth to her characters. She also excelled in dramatic roles. Her performance as Annie Hayworth in Hitchcock's The Birds showcased her acting prowess. In addition to her work on screen, she had a notable stage career. She made her Broadway debut in the 1961 production of The Cold Wind and the Warm and received critical acclaim. She went on to appear in several other theatrical productions, including The Miracle Worker and Butterflies Are Free, further solidifying her reputation as a versatile and talented actress. Pleshette lent her voice to various animated projects, including the role of Zira in Disney's The Lion King 2, Simba's Pride. Throughout her career, she received numerous accolades, including a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Troy's career. Considered one of the heartthrobs of the 60s, Donahue's charm and on-screen presence captivated audiences. His career highlights include his breakthrough role in the film A Summer Place, where he starred alongside Sandra Dee. The film became a box office hit and established Donahue as a rising star, admired for his good looks and talent. His portrayal of Johnny Hunter, a troubled teenager in a forbidden romance, garnered critical acclaim. He appeared in numerous films throughout the 60s, showcasing his versatility. His notable performances include Parish, Rome Adventure, and Palm Springs Weekend. These roles solidified his status as a teen idol and heartthrob, earning him a dedicated fan base. He also made a successful transition to television, appearing in popular shows like the primetime soap opera Surfside 6, and he had guest appearances on shows like Hawaii Five-0 and The Love Boat. These roles allowed him to reach a broader audience and further cemented his status as a recognizable face in the industry. His career experienced a resurgence in the 90s when he appeared in smaller roles in films like Crybaby and The Boys from Sunset Ridge. Suzanne's personal life. Suzanne Plechette's personal life was as intriguing as her successful career in the entertainment industry. Born January 31st, 1937, in New York City, Pleshette was known for her beauty, wit, and spirited personality. After her marriage to Troy, Pleshette went on to marry Texas oilman Tom Gallagher in 1968. They remained together until Gallagher's passing in 2000, marking a significant and enduring relationship in Plechette's life. In 2001, Pleshette found love again and married actor Tom Poston, best known for his role on Newhart. The couple had been friends for years before the romantic relationship blossomed. Pleshette and Poston enjoyed over 7 years of marriage until his death in 2007. Despite her relationships, Pleshette didn't have any children, but she often expressed her love for animals and was an advocate for animal rights and welfare. She was also known for a vibrant personality and quick wit, both on and off screen. She had a reputation for being charming, intelligent, and direct. Her down-to-earth nature and sense of humor made her a beloved figure in the entertainment industry. Suzanne faced health challenges later in life, which ultimately led to her passing January 19, 2008. In 2006, she was diagnosed with lung cancer, which came as a shock to fans and the industry. She chose to undergo treatment and remained optimistic throughout her battle with the disease. She continued working on various projects, displaying determination and passion. She made guest appearances on TV shows like Will and Grace and lent her voice to animated films like The Lion King 1.5. Sadly, her health gradually declined and she ultimately succumbed to respiratory failure at her LA home on January 19, 2008. She was 70 years old. Troy's personal life. Troy Donahue, born Merle Johnson on January 27, 1936, had a personal life with ups and downs. Donahue's love life was eventful as he was married and divorced several times. After his marriage to Suzanne, he went on to marry 3 more times, each one ending in divorce. Donahue had a son, Sean, from his marriage to actress Valerie Allen, but unfortunately their relationship was strained. Like many Hollywood stars, Donahue battled personal issues, including struggles with alcoholism and financial difficulties. He faced multiple DUI arrests and had stints in rehab as he tried to overcome his addiction. These challenges impacted his career, and his popularity waned as he struggled to regain his earlier success. He also experienced heart problems that required surgery, and he suffered from chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, added complications to his already challenging circumstances. In the 60s, he was considered a heartthrob, often cast in romantic leading roles. His handsome looks and on-screen charisma endeared him to audiences. Suzanne and Troy's failed marriage. Suzanne Pleshette and Troy Donahue were 2 prominent actors, and their relationship and marriage captivated the public's attention. The couple first met in the early 60s while working on the film Rome Adventure. Their on-screen chemistry quickly translated into a real-life romance, leading to their marriage on January 4, 1964. Pleshette, known for her roles in films like The Birds and the television series The Bob Newhart Show, and Donahue, best known for his performances in films like A Summer Place, seemed like a glamorous Hollywood couple. They exuded charm and beauty, attracting a great deal of media and public attention, but the relationship faced significant challenges. They divorced in 1964 after just 6 months, and while the definitive reasons why they ended things so quickly haven't ever been fully revealed, insiders to their situation have weighed in on their theories. There were rumors that Troy had a continuous affair with actress Connie Stevens during the entire time he was married to Pleshette. If true, that would certainly have put a serious strain on the relationship. Then there were persistent rumors that Suzanne was actually into actor Glenn Ford, but many have also pinned the issues with their marriage on the conflicting nature of their tastes and style of living. Reportedly, Suzanne was more interested in a traditional household of wealth. To her, that meant a formal-looking house with a butler serving their every need. She also wanted a level of formality with everyday events like dinner. She wanted the dinners to be elegant, with candles and champagne. Troy, on the other hand, was a classic beach bum type. He preferred lounging in an informal setting, clad in beachwear. And a formal dinner was the last thing on his mind. He was content snagging a burger and fries from a local spot. Then there was the rumor that Suzanne didn't really like Troy's friends, which can always put a strain on a marriage. But despite it all, she remained positive about the experience. She later said, quote, "Troy was a sweet, good man. We were just never destined to be married. We didn't have the same values, but I'm not bitter. He taught me how to laugh." Bertinelli's rise. Valerie Bertinelli's journey from a TV sweetheart to a rock and roll icon's wife captivated the hearts of fans worldwide. Before her fateful encounter with Eddie Van Halen, Valerie had already begun to make a name for herself in the entertainment industry. Her early life and career paved the way for the remarkable story. Valerie Bertinelli was born April 23, 1960, in Wilmington, Delaware. She grew up in a close-knit Italian-American family where she developed an intense love for acting at a young age. In the 70s, her talent and charm caught the attention of casting directors, propelling her towards success. In 1975, at age 15, she made her acting debut in the television drama Apple's Way, but her big breakthrough role in a particularly popular sitcom was still yet to come. While her professional life was finally starting to take shape, her personal life was about to take a dramatic turn. Little did she know that a chance encounter with a rock and roll legend would forever change the course of her life. A serendipitous encounter. Valerie and Eddie's paths first crossed in the late 70s when Valerie was an up-and-coming actress starring in the hit TV series One Day at a Time. Eddie was on the brink of rock stardom. According to Valerie, fate brought them together at a concert where sparks immediately flew, and a deep connection was quickly forged. This chance meeting ultimately set the stage for a remarkable, albeit heartbreakingly challenging, journey together. Not long after the couple initiated the relationship, they took things to the next level. On a memorable spring day, April 11, 1981, Valerie and Eddie exchanged vows and embarked on a marital voyage that captured the attention of fans and tabloids the world over. Weathering storms. Valerie and Eddie's relationship epitomized the intensity of rock and roll love. They were both extremely driven and passionate individuals devoted to their respective crafts. As Eddie's career soared, their lives became a whirlwind of tours, late-night recording sessions, and the constant glare of the public eye. Their marriage was a delicate dance of balancing their individual aspirations and the need to nurture their connection. Like any relationship, they faced their fair share of challenges, the pressures of fame, Eddie's struggles with addiction, and the demands of their respective careers took their toll. But they persevered, at least for as long as they could, demonstrating their resilience and commitment to each other time and time again. The birth of Wolfgang. The birth of Valerie and Eddie's son, Wolfgang Van Halen, on March 16, 1991, brought immeasurable joy to Valerie and Eddie's lives. It was a profound milestone that altered their relationship, deepening their connection as they embraced the responsibilities of parenthood. Wolfgang became a binding force, a constant reminder of the love that brought them together. Unfortunately, even the addition of Wolfgang to the Van Halen clan wasn't enough to keep Eddie and Valerie's dysfunctional union afloat forever. The end of an era. Despite their efforts to sustain the marriage, Valerie and Eddie reached a point where the strains were insurmountable. In December of 2005, they decided to separate, and the divorce proceedings began. The proceedings, which spanned over 2 years, were marked by a blend of legal complexities and emotional turmoil. Although they undoubtedly had a laundry list of complaints to lodge at each other, Valerie and Eddie navigated the division of assets and the custody arrangements for the sake of their beloved son. And while the process was clearly challenging, they managed to maintain a sense of respect and dignity, focusing on the well-being of their family. What happened? As we already pointed out, Valerie Bertinelli and Eddie Van Halen's marriage, while filled with love and passion, faced numerous challenges that ultimately led to its chaotic collapse. One of the most significant factors contributing to their separation was Eddie's battles with addiction. His struggles with drugs and alcohol created strain and tension within their relationship. Valerie, however, stood by his side, empathizing with his pain and providing unwavering support. Another obstacle they encountered was the heartbreaking loss of a pregnancy. This devastating experience tested their emotional elasticity, further straining their connection. Additionally, Eddie's diagnosis of tongue cancer shook their world. Despite their admirable efforts to navigate these hardships, the weight of the difficulties eventually took a toll too large on their relationship. Soulmates. It's worth noting that both Valerie and Eddie entered into second marriages while carrying lingering feelings. Valerie's recent divorce from Tom Vitale, finalized in 2022, has sparked speculation about the impact of her enduring love for Eddie. In her most recent memoir, Enough Already, she shared an intimate conversation with Eddie before his death, acknowledging their shared regrets and the possibility of unresolved feelings. But she emphasized that their decision not to act on those feelings was a mutual understanding, and there was never really a chance of rekindling the relationship. Her divorce from Vitale was driven by them growing apart rather than her feelings for Eddie. Despite Tom's attempts to secure spousal support, Valerie successfully argued against it, highlighting their prenuptial agreement. Valerie's enduring affection for Eddie, whom she described as her soulmate, suggests her connection with him remained profound even after their divorce and subsequent marriages. In the end, the reasons behind Valerie and Eddie's marriage ending are multifaceted, involving struggles with addiction, personal challenges, and the complexities of love and compatibility. Their journey together was filled with highs and lows, and while their paths ultimately diverged, their connection and the legacy they created will undoubtedly forever be a part of Valerie's life. Resilience. Valerie has remained active and successful in her career. She's become a familiar face on the Food Network, hosting popular cooking shows like Valerie's Home Cooking and Kids Baking Championship. Her talent and passion for cooking have earned her accolades, including 2 Daytime Emmy Awards for Valerie's Home Cooking. In December 2021, Bertinelli signed a new deal with the Food Network, indicating her continued involvement and dedication to culinary programming. Outside of her professional endeavors, Valerie has shared glimpses of her personal life on social media. She rang in the new year in 2023 with a joyful video where she radiated happiness while Taylor Swift's Clean played in the background. She celebrated her 63rd birthday in April 2023, sharing a post to commemorate the occasion with her fans and followers. She's also been open about her journey of healing from past emotional trauma. Through her social media platforms, she's chosen to share this process with her audience, offering support, inspiration, and vulnerability. And of course, one aspect that brings her immense pride is her son Wolfgang. He played alongside Eddie as Van Halen's bassist from 2006 to 2020. Then he embarked on his solo project called Mammoth WVH. As a multi-instrumentalist and vocalist, he released his self-titled debut album in 2021. Valerie continues to support Wolfgang's musical endeavors, celebrating his talent and accomplishments as he forges his own legacy in the music industry. Today, Lee Majors is an actor most fondly remembered for his work on the seminal action series The $6 Million Man. At the time the series came onto the air, Lee had already found a modicum of success on TV, but his work on this series rocketed him into the stratosphere. Given how much the show ended up meaning for Lee's career, it may surprise many fans to learn that the actor was initially hesitant to play the part. When Lee expressed his distaste for the concept of the $6 Million Man, his words didn't fall on deaf ears. The concept of the show was tweaked considerably thanks to Lee's creative input. There were a few stipulations that Lee had when it came to joining the cast. For one thing, Lee didn't like how much emphasis was being put on the main character's bionic abilities. At the time Lee was offered the part, the show was going by the working title, Cyborg. That lack of humanity wasn't appealing to him. He requested the character be more human, and the show's name was changed to The $6 Million Man. The title and the titular character's lack of humanity weren't the only problems Lee Majors had with the original concept. The show was largely influenced by the 1960s Batman series, which was incredibly campy. Lee was hesitant to join a series with a similarly campy tone, but he was promised that the show would be a good deal more serious than its comic book predecessor. Before the series proper came on air, The $6 Million Man got its start via a pair of made-for-TV features. The second of these included a theme song performed by Dusty Springfield. The $6 Million Man was a huge success. The Dusty Springfield theme song, recorded for The $6 Million Man, was similar in tone to the opening credit songs being used in James Bond features. This was another aspect of the show that Lee Majors found a little cheesy. Thankfully, after the two made-for-TV features were successful enough to warrant a series, Lee was able to convince those involved to get rid of the cheesy theme song. Another stipulation he had was that he didn't want the show to feature bad guys dying. Instead, he simply beats them up. The $6 Million Man became a major success, and it was obvious Lee deserved a fair amount of the credit. Not only was Lee the perfect actor to portray the titular character, but the creative control he had in regards to the show's concept paid off immensely. Without his creative input, the show arguably wouldn't have struck a chord with audiences in the way it did. 2 years into the show's 5-season run, Majors came up with another stipulation. He thought it was time to shake things up. His character had yet to have a love interest on the show, and Lee thought this was a shame. An actress named Lindsay Wagner was hired onto the series to play a new romantic interest. Lindsay was hired in 1975. Then, in a special 2-part episode, her character was killed off. Her character's death made fans so upset it eventually had to be undone. Her character was brought back to life and given her own spin-off. That was called The Bionic Woman. Though it didn't last as long as The $6 Million Man, it was a minor success, lasting 2 seasons from 1976 to 78. Why The $6 Million Man ended. The $6 Million Man aired from 1974 to 78, though the first made-for-TV feature based on the concept premiered in 1973. All in all, 3 made-for-TV features and 5 seasons of the show were produced. According to Lee Majors, he was surprised when the show was taken off the air. It was still incredibly successful, but the hefty budget made the studio feel as if producing more episodes wasn't feasible. They felt there were more than enough episodes to keep it on the air via syndication. Though Lee Majors wasn't expecting the show to end, he wasn't too upset about it. For 5 years working on the series had eaten up the majority of his free time. This was made all the more cumbersome when you consider the fact that Lee had just married his second wife in 1973. During the years he was working on the show, he was also trying to make his new marriage work. The woman that Lee was married to over the course of The $6 Million Man was Farrah Fawcett. When Lee and Farrah married, she wasn't a star in her own right, but she was a model. When they got married, the intended arrangement was that Farrah would stay at home and prepare Lee's meals while Lee would continue his career as a TV star. Farrah could do her modeling work in her spare time, and it wouldn't interfere with how much time she got to spend with her husband. Even if Lee had to work long days due to his television commitments, Farrah would still be available when he was done. But not long after the marriage started, Farrah started becoming a major celebrity in her own right. In 1976, she was cast to play one of the leads on the hit series Charlie's Angels. Why Lee Majors and Farrah Fawcett got divorced. After Charlie's Angels became a big success, the dynamic of their marriage changed considerably. Now the two were barely able to see each other whatsoever. Lee wasn't upset at his wife for her newfound success. Instead, he was simply sad he was hardly able to see her anymore. Farrah felt the same way, but she was also incredibly grateful that she was becoming a star in her own right. When the $6 Million Man ended, Lee may have envisioned that he was finally going to spend more time with Farrah. But this didn't end up being the case. She was still busy. In fact, by the time of the $6 Million Man's cancellation, Farrah had grown to eclipse her husband in terms of fame. After Farrah announced that she and Lee Majors were separating, and before the divorce officially went through, the two stars spent a romantic day together in Atlanta, Georgia. The romantic getaway was part reunion, part farewell. But it shows there was truly no bad blood between the two performers once they decided to call it quits on their marriage. They even stayed the night together, which is something the majority of couples would have a hard time with when preparing for a divorce. After divorcing Farrah Fawcett, Lee Majors took a hiatus from the entertainment industry and traveled around the world. He said he was surprised to find out what a major impact his work on the $6 Million Man had on people across the globe. Eventually, he returned to acting. At age 83, Lee still shows up in the media every once in a while. Sadly, Farrah passed away in June 2009. She was 62. Upon Farrah's passing, Lee had plenty of kind words to share about his ex-wife. Lee and Farrah both moved on. Besides Farrah Fawcett, Lee Majors has had 3 other wives, and Farrah had a couple of other serious relationships during her life. Prior to Farrah, Lee was married to a woman named Kathy Robinson from 1961 to 64. After that, Lee was married to a Playboy model named Karen Velez from 1988 to 94. Today, he's married to a much younger woman named Faith. Faith is over 3 decades younger than Lee, and the May-December romance turned plenty of heads when they married in 2002. But the fact that they're still married after 2 decades shows they still love each other. Though Farrah never remarried after divorcing Lee, she did have another serious romantic partner. She became romantically involved with movie star Ryan O'Neal. Aside from a brief separation in the late 90s due to Ryan's infidelity, the two remained together until Farrah's death. Before meeting Lee Majors, Farrah dated a football player named Greg Lott. Drescher and Jacobson's history goes back to when the two were only 15. They met in high school, where they started a relationship that blossomed into a marriage just 6 years later. Drescher and Jacobson's chemistry was undeniable, and given their history, it's no wonder they played the perfect couple on screen. But after almost 20 years of marriage, they separated in 1996 and divorced only a few years later. It turns out Jacobson struggled to recognize his own homosexuality. During an interview with Oprah, he revealed he had no idea he was gay when they got married. He never cheated on Drescher or even experimented with his sexuality. But this didn't stop him from dealing with inner turmoil, and he chose to begin therapy to get help. 3 different therapists told him he was straight and it was natural to have thoughts about being gay. He was convinced that as long as he wasn't acting on these thoughts, there was nothing to be concerned about. But as it turns out, there was something deeper going on. Jacobson began his therapy sessions in 1985 after falling victim to a violent break-in. Drescher, Jacobson, and one of their friends were having dinner in their home when 2 armed robbers forced their way into the house. The robbers assaulted and abused the couple and their friend before stealing valuables and making their escape. Surprisingly, the couple kept this story under wraps for over a decade before it became public knowledge. Between the trauma of the break-in and the struggle with his sexuality, Jacobson was not left in a healthy state of mind. He revealed on Oprah he regressed and ignored his feelings, which left him in a constant state of anger. Drescher quickly noticed this change in her husband. She noticed he had become controlling and insecure, and was even upset when Drescher spent time with their dog instead of him. Interestingly, both Drescher and Jacobson admit that Jacobson's struggles never affected their sex life. Jacobson told Oprah they had great sex, and Drescher agreed, saying he was a very sexual man. When Jacobson couldn't ignore his sexuality any longer, he confided in Drescher, telling her he was bisexual. However, for him, their marriage was more important than acknowledging and acting on his sexuality. Drescher said that when Jacobson told this to her, he still wanted to spend their lives together and promised he wouldn't cheat. She didn't know how to address the change. Instead of addressing how his changing sexuality was affecting her, she took his honesty as a testament to how much he loved her. The two gave their relationship more time, committed to making the marriage work. Eventually, though, Drescher decided to end things, which Jacobson didn't take too well. She revealed he begged her to stay, but she felt trapped and suffocated. At a certain point, he had no option but to accept her choice, and he moved to New York to be on his own. Jacobson's departure happened to be on the same day the nanny ended, and the two wouldn't speak for a year. During this time, Drescher was suffering from an undiagnosed disease, and 2 years of tests were inconclusive in determining the condition. Ultimately, she was diagnosed with uterine cancer. Shortly after, her manager called Jacobson to tell him the tragic news. As revealed on Oprah, this discovery cut Jacobson to the core. He said any anger that he harbored had vanished, and he felt nothing but love, as he feared for Drescher and her life-threatening diagnosis. Fortunately, just a few years later, Drescher beat cancer. She then wrote Cancer Schmancer, retelling her battle with the disease. During a publicity book tour, she made a stop in New York, where she decided to meet up with Jacobson. During this visit, Jacobson revealed to her he was not bisexual, but actually just homosexual. He wanted Drescher to be the first to know, so she wasn't blindsided when the news hit the media. In a later interview, Drescher expressed relief and comfort that Jacobson was finally able to explore his sexuality. After their ups and downs, the two have finally stabilized into a close, healthy friendship. They realize that they each play an integral role in each other's lives, despite the rocky ending to their relationship. After all, they owe a lot of their career success to one another. If you're enjoying this video so far, don't forget to like it and subscribe to Factsverse if you haven't already. And stick around to find out how these two are doing today. In her early years, Drescher was frustrated about how her career was going. She was unhappy with the roles offered to her and felt undervalued. The Nanny was a big hit, not just during its original run, but also reruns. The show's 6 seasons, which spanned 146 episodes, were well received among audiences and critics, and earned Drescher nominations for 2 Emmys and 2 Golden Globes. Before this success, though, the roles offered to her were subpar. In a Fox News interview, she said she was mostly offered roles to portray a kind-hearted hooker. She further added she felt disrespected and refused to play into it, deciding she'd explore other ways of becoming successful. Jacobson played a big role in helping Drescher realize her potential. He bolstered her confidence and assured her she was meant for bigger roles, and supported her in declining projects that didn't acknowledge her talent. Today, Drescher says she's happily single and in an extremely satisfying relationship with herself. In an interview, she even mentioned she shared a friends with benefit arrangement with somebody. More recently, in a Closer Weekly interview, she added that the pandemic put dating on the back burner and she's enjoying the free time to de-stress and unwind. In the same interview, she said she's happy to be focusing on herself for a change. She practices Buddhism and feels peaceful being by herself. Looking back, Drescher says the divorce was a turning point in her life when she decided to start living for herself and exploring who she really was. Her battle with cancer made her more self-aware, and she now leads the Cancer Schmancer movement, which aims to raise awareness about how to identify early signs of cancer. Early success and Crawford courtship. Richard Gere's rise to international superstardom in the 1980s set the stage for the unconventional love story that was to come. Having established himself as a handsome leading man and sex symbol in films like American Gigolo and An Officer and a Gentleman, Gere was at the peak of his celebrity in Hollywood. With dozens of high-profile magazine covers, talk show appearances, and box office hits under his belt, the charismatic actor was one of the most famous faces on the planet. It was at the height of this Cindy Crawford at a party in Beverly Hills. At just 21 years old and fresh off her debut in the prestigious Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue, Crawford was newly exploring the exhilarating but intimidating world of international modeling. Among the dazzling array of celebrities in attendance, it was Gere who immediately caught her eye the most. Already dedicated to his movie star craft at 37, he exuded a sophistication, wit, and charm that enthralled the wide-eyed Crawford. A fast friendship blossomed between the two that summer, which evolved into a passionate romance. By 1991, Crawford had broken out as arguably the premier supermodel working at the time, appearing on hundreds of magazine covers that spread her girl-next-door beauty across the globe. That same year, she achieved full-fledged icon status when she appeared radiantly on Gere's arm at the Academy Awards in her now legendary sheer red Versace gown. The couple basked in their role as the glamorous pair dominating Hollywood. But behind closed doors, the challenges of their 15-year age difference were already presenting issues. While Gere balanced a thriving film career with his mature interests, Crawford was only just entering her 20s and finding her footing in the modeling industry and life. Ever the spontaneous duo, they made the surprise decision that December to secretly wed in Las Vegas. Their whirlwind celebrity romance had brought them great joy, but the gaps in their lives soon proved difficult for Crawford to navigate in the years ahead as she came into her own. Age differences and cracks form. It didn't take long for the difficulties of Cindy Crawford and Richard Gere's relationship to become apparent. Though still very much in the honeymoon phase of their marriage in 1992, cracks were emerging. Crawford was finding her footing in the spotlight, but still discovering herself as a young woman. Meanwhile, at 38, Gere had settled comfortably into his prestigious Hollywood career and interests established over the decades. As Crawford's modeling fame rocketed to stratospheric new heights, the demands of her schedule pulled her further onto the global stage. Long shoots in distant cities kept her traveling constantly, while Gere remained settled at their LA home. His interests in philanthropy, politics, and Tibetan Buddhism did not always align with the fast-paced social scene Crawford was immersed in either. And at 22, Crawford was undergoing the transformational period of self-discovery that comes in one's early 20s. By 1994, the inevitable issues of their mismatched life phases had become too great a strain. While on location for shoots around the world, Crawford began to realize how unfulfilled she felt trying to mold herself around another person. She appreciated all that Gere had shown her as a famous partner, but their relationship no longer felt like an empowering partnership. That year, their communication struggles escalated amid the challenges of long-distance living. Friends observed Crawford becoming increasingly distant and unhappy at events despite their smiles for the cameras. After much soul-searching during these tumultuous months, Crawford realized the only way forward was to take control of her personal life course before it passed her by. In late 1995, she filed for divorce from Gere, citing irreconcilable differences stemming from their growing personal disconnect. Though saddened by the end of the marriage, Crawford embraced the opportunity to fully unlock her potential without compromise. Finding Lowell in family life. Following his divorce from Crawford, Richard Gere took time to reflect deeply on what he wanted from his next relationships. After a few years of traveling the world for philanthropic work and enjoying bachelor freedom again, Gere's interest led him onto the set of the James Bond film The World Is Not Enough in 1999. There he met actress Carrie Lowell, who was playing the role of Bond girl. Lowell, a model-turned-actress, was instantly drawn to Gere's intelligence, kindness, and conversation skills. Soon they began quietly dating. In 2000, their son Homer was born, and the pair quickly fell in love with being parents together. By this point, Gere had turned 50 and found a new sense of peace and joy centering his life around family. He and Lowell married in a private ceremony in 2002. Lowell spoke of admiring Gere's gentle spirit and generous nature, saying he was unlike any man she had met. For several years, they kept a low-profile home in New York, where Gere helped raise Homer while continuing Oscar-nominated roles. All seemed well, but over a decade into their marriage, the same disconnectedness that plagued Gere's first union reemerged. Lowell, an outgoing social butterfly, found herself tiring of Gere's increasingly reclusive tendencies. Reports surfaced of Lowell feeling held back by her husband's demands for extensive privacy, even saying friends jokingly called her the warden. Conversely, Gere was unwilling to alter their lifestyle that brought him fulfillment. By 2016, their core differences had escalated to an irrevocable point. Lowell filed for divorce, citing that their lifestyles were no longer compatible. Though devastated to split the family, they agreed to jointly co-parent Homer with kindness and respect. Lowell has since gone on to enjoy an active, creative life in upstate New York. Reconnecting with Silva. After 2 failed marriages, Gere was content to remain single. But then, unexpectedly, love found him again in the summer of 2014 during a chance reunion with an old friend from his native New York. Alejandra Silva, a dark-haired beauty from Madrid, had grown up knowing Gere's family and attended the same small schools as his siblings decades prior. She had become a prominent public speaker and activist in her home country, founding a nonprofit organization dedicating these Gere held most dear. Despite their 33-year age gap, Gere and Silva were drawn to each other immediately. Soon relocating to live with Gere in upstate New York, Silva fully supported his philanthropic endeavors while pursuing her own. They made frequent appearances volunteering together for various charitable causes globally. By 2018, Gere and Silva decided to legalize the bond, exchanging vows at a New York City courthouse. They welcomed their first child, a son named Alexander, with pure joy. Then in 2020, they announced the birth of a second son. At 74, Gere had found respite in the stability of his final marriage through a partner deeply understanding his heart and purpose for making the world brighter. Garth Brooks and Sandy Moll. Garth Brooks is one of the most successful country music stars of all time, but that didn't make him immune to struggling through a rough and highly publicized divorce. He's been married twice, and his divorce from his first wife, Sandy Moll, was one of the most talked about divorces in the entertainment industry. Brooks and Moll were high school sweethearts and got married in 1986. They have 3 daughters together, Taylor, August, and Allie. Despite being married for over a decade, the couple faced several issues as their marriage progressed. Brooks' music career was soaring, and he was on the road for most of the year, leaving Moll alone with their children. The long distance took a toll on their relationship, and the couple grew apart. In 1999, Brooks and Moll announced their separation, and their divorce was finalized in December of the same year. The divorce settlement was one of the most expensive in the industry, with Moll receiving a reported $125 million in assets, including a ranch in Oklahoma and a mansion in Nashville. It was a significant blow to Brooks, who was known for his dedication to his family. In several interviews, he's spoken about how the divorce affected him emotionally and how it impacted his music. Brooks took a break from music after the divorce and focused on raising his daughters. He married Trisha Yearwood in 2005, and they've been together ever since. Despite the difficult divorce, Brooks and Moll maintained a friendly relationship for the sake of their kids. In an interview with Good Morning America, Brooks said, quote, "We're family. We're forever going to be family, and that's cool. It's just that simple." Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt. The divorce of Brangelina has been perhaps one of the most talked about splits in Hollywood history. This is no doubt because of the star power each one of them has, as well as the amount of money potentially involved. But it's also made more complicated by the number of children they have, as well as allegations of abuse that were put forwards towards Pitt after an incident on a private plane. Plus, the proceedings have taken so many years, it seems like it'll never be complete. The pair were together for more than 10 years and then married for 2. But they filed for divorce in 2016 and have been in a wild legal battle ever since. The two have 3 biological kids together and another 3 whom they've adopted. The process has no doubt put a strain on the lives of these children, and media reports have speculated that there's been pressure on them to pick sides between the famous couple. And when the abuse allegations are added in, the kids are likely torn about how to move forward. Pitt has struggled with addiction issues, though is reportedly clean and sober now. If public photos are to be believed, it seems as if both parents have made it a priority to see and help their kids move through childhood, despite not being together as a celebrity couple any longer. Estimates of the value of their assets being sorted through in the divorce range up to $400 million. Tiger Woods and Elin Nordegren. As one of the most famous and successful pro golfers of all time, Tiger Woods' personal life was already a focus of tabloids and fans all over the world. and this only increased when, in 2009, several women came forward claiming to have had affairs with him. This scandal led to the eventual dissolution of his marriage to Elin Nordegren. Woods and Nordegren were married in 2004 and had 2 children together. But when it broke that Woods had been involved in multiple extramarital affairs, it quickly became a major news story and was covered extensively by the media. In the wake of the scandal, Woods took a break from golf and sought treatment for sex addiction. Meanwhile, Nordegren filed for divorce in December 2009, citing irreconcilable differences. The divorce was finalized in August of 2010. The terms of the divorce settlement weren't disclosed, but it was reported that Nordegren received a significant amount of money. Some estimates put the settlement at around $100 million. She also reportedly receives monthly child support payments of around $20,000. She also kept their home in Windermere, though she ended up selling that home before too long. Since the divorce, Woods has continued to play golf at a high level, including his recent comeback from a near-fatal car accident. He's also been involved in several high-profile relationships, including with Olympic skier Lindsey Vonn and restaurant manager Erica Herman. Kevin Costner and Cindy Silva. Kevin Costner has been an A-list actor and director for over 4 decades. He has starred in numerous successful films, including Dances with Wolves, The Bodyguard, and Field of Dreams. And his recent turn as the lead in the hit show Yellowstone has further solidified his star power. But Costner's personal life has not always been smooth sailing. He was married to Cindy Silva, his college sweetheart, for 16 years. The couple met while studying at Cal State University, Fullerton, and got married in 1978. They have 3 children together, Annie, Lily, and Joe. But in 1994, they announced their separation and the divorce was finalized in 1995. The reasons for the split were not disclosed, but it was reported Costner somewhere in the range of $80 million. He went on to marry his current wife, Christine Baumgartner, in 2004. They have 3 children together and have been married for almost 20 years. Despite the end of his first marriage, Costner has remained on good terms with Silva. In fact, he even thanked her during his acceptance speech for the Best Director Oscar for Dances with Wolves in 1991. So while his divorce was undoubtedly difficult, he has since moved on and built a successful career and happy family life. Steven Spielberg and Amy Irving. Steven Spielberg's epic career as a writer and director has spanned more than 5 decades, but his personal life has had its ups and downs, including a high-profile divorce from actress Amy Irving. Spielberg and Irving first met in the late 70s and began dating soon after. They got married in 1985 and had a son together, Max. But the marriage was short-lived, and the couple separated just 4 years later. The divorce proceedings were highly publicized and became a major news story at the time. One of the main points of contention was a prenuptial agreement that the couple had signed before getting married. Irving challenged the validity of the agreement, arguing it was unfair and that she had been coerced into signing it. After a lengthy legal battle, Irving was eventually awarded a settlement of $100 million. This was one of the largest divorce settlements in Hollywood history at the time. Despite the acrimonious divorce, Spielberg and Irving have remained on good terms and have even worked together on several projects. Harrison Ford and Melissa Matheson. Perhaps given the cantankerous roles Harrison Ford plays, like Han Solo and Indiana Jones, it might not come as too much of a surprise that he would struggle through at least one relationship. In the late 70s, he married screenwriter Melissa Matheson, with whom he had 2 children. But after more than a decade of marriage, the couple divorced in 2004. The reasons for the divorce weren't made public, but it was reported the couple had been having problems for some time. One of the main issues was said to be Ford's reluctance to commit to the marriage and settle down in one place. Matheson was a successful screenwriter in her own right, best known for writing the screenplay for E.T. She continued to work after the divorce and went on to write several other successful films, including The Black Stallion and Kundun. They remained on good terms until her death in 2015. Ford paid tribute to her in an interview with Entertainment Weekly in 2015, saying she was a remarkable person and a very talented writer. Ford moved on and married actress Callista Flockhart, and the two have been happily married for more than a decade. Now it's time to hear from you. Which of these celebrity divorces did you follow when it was in the news? Let us know in the comments section below.
I used to make a joke that every time, well, it's not really a joke. Every time I would get a divorce, I would live at the Sunset Marquis, which was pretty often. So.
How many times did you live there?
3 or 4.
That's a lot of times.
Yeah.
Billy Bob Thornton's had many reasons to want to hide away in his life. First of all, he's a shy man. He loves to tell stories, but doesn't love the spotlight. Second, he's strange. He's done things in the public eye that became headlines that follow him today. Third, he's had many relationships. Not all of them have ended well. One was an odd match, but didn't seem ill-fated. It felt like it could go all the way. Keep watching, though, as Billy Bob Thornton confirms why he divorced Angelina Jolie. Billy Bob's previous wives. Hollywood tends to be a world of quick, easy relationships. Billy even plays characters who have plenty of them, or at least make comments that suggest they want them. But he's always searched for something more. He seems to dream of a permanent, loving wife. He'd rather put a ring on it and try to achieve that dream than go around and find